Okay, so today is absolute value and evaluation. And we've done a little bit with absolute value before, so that's not like a completely foreign topic, but let's do a little review. Absolute value. The definition of absolute value is the distance from zero. Distance from zero. Fill that in. Javier, do you need a pencil? Fill it in. Okay, when we talk about distance in real life, distance is always positive. You know, it's 12 miles to the mall, or it's 5 miles to get to Pasco. We never say it's negative 5 miles. That didn't make any sense. And when we measure, if we're measuring to one side 3 feet, if we go the other way, it's still 3 feet. Does that make sense? That measure is positive, it's not negative. Absolute value is the same thing. Absolute value is distance. And since distance is always positive, absolute value is always positive. So on a number line, if I were to compare the absolute value, the distance from zero for the number 3, here's the number 3. The number of units is 1, 2, 3. The distance is 3. Now, if I were to measure with a tape measure from 0 to negative 3, if I count the units, it's still 1, 2, 3. Its distance from 0 is the same whether I go right or left. That's why the absolute value of positive 3, the distance is 3, and the absolute value of negative 3, the distance is also 3. So no matter what's in the absolute value, it is distance, so it comes out of the bars positive. So what about weird numbers? Like negative 5.2. It actually doesn't matter how weird the number is, it still comes out positive. 5.2. What about mixed numbers? Well, just first of all, we always get rid of mixed numbers when we're solving. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So absolute value of 3 halves. And again, to simplify out the bars, absolute value of something is always positive. So it's going to be 3 halves. All right, so how does this fit into what you already know? Well, we've already learned order of operations. I did a little summary box here. Order of operations says grouping symbols first, inside to outside, then exponents, then multiply, divide, left to right, and then add, subtract, left to right. So where do the absolute value bars fit? Absolute value bars are grouping symbols. So write these in. Parentheses are grouping symbols, brackets are grouping symbols, and yes, absolute value bars are grouping symbols. So your very first step in your simplifying is to get rid of the absolute value bars because that is taking care of grouping symbols. All right, so let's look. So starting here, the absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. It comes out of the bars. Plus, we're not doing anything with that yet. The absolute value of 3 is 3. So I've done my grouping symbols. Exponents, there are none. Multiplying or dividing, there is none. Add, subtract, yes. 2 plus 3 is 5. All right, let's do one that's a little more complicated. Let's do number 2. So grouping symbols first. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3. Plus the absolute value of 8 is 8. And then just bring down the times 2. So we've done the grouping symbols. Now we start at the beginning. Exponents, there are none. Multiply, divide, aha, that we do have. We need to multiply that next. 8 times 2 is 16. And we've done the multiply, divide step. Starting over, we're ready for the add, subtract step. 3 plus 16 is 19. So a couple of your problems on your assignment are going to look just like that. You're going to simplify them using order of operations. All right, there's also a couple on evaluation and substitution. See if I can zoom in a little bit. There we go. So when you do evaluation with substitution, you do the substitution first and replace the A and the B. So in this case, absolute value of A, if A is 1, is the absolute value of 1. Plus, we've got the absolute value of B, B is 4, So the absolute value of 4. So that's your first step, is to substitute. Now, evaluate is slightly different than calculate, because evaluate means that you're going to get a number for your answer. You're going to get a value. That's evaluate. So when you're done, you should have no letters, only a number. All right, so order of operations, grouping symbols first. Absolute value of 1 is 1, plus the absolute value of 4 is 4. We're done with the grouping symbols. Exponents, no. Multiply, no. Add, subtract, yes. 1 plus 4 is 5. All right, last one of these. 2x minus the absolute value of y. So first thing we're going to do is replace the x and the y. Now remember, when you have a number next to a variable, there's an invisible times symbol in there. So when I replace the 3 with the x, I'm not going to do this. It's not going to become 23. It's going to be, instead of 2 times x, it's going to be 2 times 3. So you have to put parentheses or a dot, your choice. Minus the absolute value of y, which is -1. All right, order of operations. First thing is grouping symbols. We're going to do the bars first. So just recopy the 2 times 3 minus the absolute value of -1 is 1. It comes out. All right, exponents, no. Multiply, yes. This is the next thing we're going to do. 2 times 3 is 6. And last is add, subtract. 6 minus 1 is 5. All right, question.